days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, right at you, you give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.
It's nice to have, different things coming in and talk about different things, but we need to talk about this because our literal lives are on the line. So I was following Alan Lickman. Alan Lickman's been everywhere. Alan Lickman has been everywhere. I don't know what your thoughts are on him, but before, he seems to be a credible person, who has predicted, I think, 8 of the last 10 elections successfully, unlike a lot of other pollsters and people and pundits and things, right? He actually scientifically understands what's going on. He has 13 keys. And if you have, is it 8 of them? I'm going to walk it through it. So
yes.
8 of them, you will win according to his math, his science, right? So number 1 is party mandate. After the midterm elections, the incumbent party holds more seats in the U.S. House of Representatives than previous midterms elections. That happened, right? That happened. We were supposed to have a red wave. It didn't happen in the midterms. And in fact, I think Smith said he predicted 9 of 10. I'm sorry, Mr. Lickman. Thank you for the correction in real time. 9 of 10 of the last. Okay, his exception. Well, Gore actually won. So the only exception was Gore, and Al Gore actually won the popular vote. If not for the corruption of Florida and the Bush family, Al Gore would have been president. But they were on that bull crap, and Al Gore didn't contest it. And they had the Supreme Court, a very similar situation where the Supreme Court, mostly seated by Republicans, were like, yeah, nah, we're gonna roll with this.
Well,
Bush.
it's important to remember. It's important to, and I'll let you finish, but it's important to remember that Republicans have only won the popular vote one time in the last 35 years.
Yes.
That's extremely important to remember because that's a harbinger that there are larger structural changes that all of us need to make in considering whether or not we really have a democracy. But please.
Okay. Number 2 is contest. There's no serious contest for the incumbent, meaning there's no primary. The incumbent is the incumbent. Number 3 is incumbency. The incumbent party candidate is the sitting president. That's a marker for success. Number 4, third party. There's no significant third party or independent campaign, which one could argue if you think JFK Jr. or Cornel West is serious or significant, they're not. Alan, what's his name? RFK? Oh, sorry. RFK, worm dead brain.
Your boy, Ralph Nader. Ralph
Nader. Yeah, they're not Ralph Nader. Yeah. Or who was the Ross Perot?
Ross Perot. Ross Perot, yes.
So we don't have a Ross Perot or Ralph Nader this time. Or even a Jill Stein, who I think made a significant play in the election of Trump. But I'll say less about that. Number 5, shout out to Mark Lamont Hill and Reverend Eddie Glaude. Okay.
And
number
by
5,
shout out, you mean?
By shout out, I mean.
Number 5.
Yeah, number 5. Short-term economy. The economy is not in recession during the election campaign. And guess what? It's not. We're not in a recession. We were supposed to be, but we're not. 6, long-term economy. Real per capita economic growth during the term equals or exceeds mean growth during the previous 2 terms. And I will say the stock market has done better. Bitcoin is back. We actually have a booming economy. I know you think milk and eggs and gas are too high. That's personal, but this is math right now. Number 7, policy change. The incumbent administration affects major changes in national policy. That one's questionable. Is Build Back Better that thing? I'm not sure. Is it Obamacare? Not sure if it's at that level. Number 8, social unrest. There is no sustained social unrest during the term. We got that. So he doesn't get that mark at all. So that's a no for point 8. Point 9, scandal. I don't know if his son is the scandal. I don't know if Hunter Biden is a scandal, but I feel like Joe Biden had a scandal-free presidency outside of his son, who was not an elected official. That's personal family business. And we all got that in our families. Go ahead with that. Foreign military failure. The incumbent administration suffers no major failure in foreign or military affairs. One would say Gaza is a failure. One would say Gaza and maybe even Ukraine, and maybe that's, even though it started with the previous president, the last bit, the Ukrainian-Russian conflict, one would put an L on Biden for the handling of Gaza, I think. 11, foreign, but that's not even our military, though. But we didn't. So I don't know how to suss this out. But already I'm looking at, so I'm going to read what Alan Lickman actually said. He said, he's lost what I call the mandate key based on midterm elections. He lost that, even though I think because the Democrats actually lost seats in 2022. But it was supposed to be a red wave. We didn't leave it. Okay. They needed to win seats to win that key. So he loses the charisma key because he's no FDR or JFK. This is Lickman. If 6 keys turn against Biden, he's going to lose. He's likely to lose. The 4 keys to watch are whether RFK or another third-party candidate wins at least 10% support in national polls. That has not happened. It probably will not happen. Social unrest linked to widespread anti-Israel protests on college campuses. I think that has happened. With Biden running, he wins my incumbency key, my sitting president key. He wins the party contest, uncontested key. Essentially, that means he wins 2 of the top keys. He wins 2 keys off the top. Without Biden on the ticket, the Democrats would automatically lose 2 of those keys, meaning just 4 more would have to fall to predict their defeat. Biden not on the ticket changes the paradigm. And listening to people already not wanting to show up, unless they put Wes Moore's ass up there, I don't know. I don't see anybody enthusiastically showing up.
It changes the paradigm in a couple of significant ways. Number one, if you put Kamala Harris up there, which I believe,
can we call her Vice President Kamala Harris on the show from here until she's
we can call her Vice President Harris. And I would also suggest,
thank you,
don't let nobody say Kamala, because that is derisive and it's intentionally derogatory.
I don't.
Part of the way that they do, that's right. But I see Trump saying it. I see Republican surrogates on TV saying it all the time. Kamala was that African caricature wrestler in WWE. Her name is Kamala, and I think they know that. So let's be very vigilant about defending that as we go forward over these next 5 months. I think the paradigm changes in a couple of significant ways. Number one, if you consider the 1960 election, JFK won because that was the first televised debate, and he fundamentally looked so much better than Richard Nixon. He looked young, he looked vigorous, and that's what we saw. That is what we saw in the last debate. And I think Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, restores the visuals. What she doesn't do is satisfy folks who don't feel good unless they voting for a straight white male, right? And so Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, does fundamentally change the paradigm in a significant way. But you cannot just give Black people Wes Moore. And I live in Maryland. I like Wes Moore. I'm impressed with him. Wes Moore is all the things. Wes Moore is a first-term governor who is probably 2 years into term 1, and maybe at the second year of term 1. He is not prepared nor qualified to be president of the United States.
There's no Don Calloway. No. There are no qualifications for president. Period. Which is why I'm riding with Biden no matter what, because there's no qualifications. I'm riding for the cabinet. I'm riding for the policies. Yeah. I'm riding for him getting over the finish line and then tapping.
I'll tell you what, though, he's not more qualified than the current vice president.
Yes,
he's not more qualified. He's not qualified to leapfrog her.
You're absolutely right.
The question
this is a horse race. This is a beauty contest. Let's stop playing in our faces, Don Calloway. Don't come here with the qualifications. Trump was president. Okay, you can't get more unqualified than Donald J. Trump, than Dan Quayle, than George Bush, the former cokehead who was a C student and got in on his dad. Like, he wasn't a brilliant president or a brilliant person.
No, but he was objectively a governor of a very large state. We as Democrats do not govern ourselves by the same standards that Republicans govern themselves by, because the Republican standard, particularly in a post-Trump era, is who is willing to maintain white male supremacy. Right. And so that's the qualification, quote unquote, to be the Republican nominee and be a Republican president. We don't operate by that. Their standard is not ours. By Democratic standards, Wes Moore is not ready. Wes Moore is clearly ambitious, and he will be ready in a couple of years. But he just got this job, which, by the way, is his first job in government, right? And so perhaps his military experience.
People are tired of politicians. I think you in your
but Wes Moore's a politician.
People are tired of.
Wes Moore's a politician.
People are tired. He's not really he's a community organizer
oh,
like Obama.
He is.
No.
A
hell of a leader. Who's a hell of a leader who has military background.
What did I just say?
I'm not arguing. Hold on. I'm not arguing for Wes Moore to be the next president of the United States, although I would definitely not mind it. That said, I'm riding with Biden because I think what Lickman is pointing out, we got to get him across the finish line, sit his ass down. Excuse me, I'm sorry, that's disrespectful. Sit him down somewhere, put him in bubble wrap, feed him Adderall. I don't care what you got to do. Get us through November because we're not dealing with logic. There are people that are voting for a pussy-grabbing, accused pedophile who has been convicted of sexual assault.
No, he's a pedophile. They may made that up. Yeah.
No, I'm saying he wasn't convicted of the pedophilia. That's just a lawsuit that's out in the Epstein.
Can we say credibly accused? He was
credibly accused pedophile. Yeah, okay, we can say that. You're the lawyer. I'm covering our show's ass. You do what you need to do. But people don't care is the point. So if we're going to be in a don't care thing, at least put somebody there that cares about people. That's all. That's like, do you care about people in this country?
People who are willing to vote for a white supremacist pedophile don't care because people care. So your listeners care.
Nikki Haley's voting for him. Tim Scott's Nikki Haley after going on campaigns. Oh, he's a horrible person and he's not fit to be president, but I'm supporting him.
So throw Nikki Haley and Tim Scott and Lindsey Graham and all the others who y'all put y'all's faith in, y'all being Republicans, throw them in the bucket of deplorables that Hillary Clinton told us about in 2016. Because if you're deplorable or if you're voting for a deplorable, you're deplorable. You're a horrible person to vote for Donald Trump because you think you're going to make a couple dollars in your pocket, which, by the way, ain't the case. Listen, I live out here with a bunch of rich, straight black men, and they think Donald Trump is going to mean something more accretive to their bottom line. And they're wrong. And brothers, if y'all are sitting at home and think you're rich because you got a 2-car garage and a Peloton, you're dead ass wrong for voting for Donald Trump. Because it's never been about us individually. It's about all of us having some collective concern for the broader community. And we manifest that concern via our votes. I just want to say that to all black men who think you got something like myself. I'm talking to us. So I just want to point that out real quick.
My days are cooler. Nights are warmer. And I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, right at you. You give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.